Hello folks, my name is Rich Keener. I'm the Village Manager for the Village of Villa Park. And today's another one of my segments where I'll be talking about an upcoming board meeting's agenda. So folks, today I'll be discussing the formal agenda for Monday, December 21st. So let's start. So number one on the agenda is the call to order. It's the roll call. Number two is the Pledge of Allegiance. Number three is public comments on agenda items. And folks, as a reminder, our buildings will be open during the board meeting. If you do want to come and be present for the activities that evening, you'll need to wear a mask, and we'll be following the guidelines of 10 individuals or less for the meeting. But if you'd like to comment, you can send an email as well. So the village appreciates the public's patience and cooperation as we attempt to reduce the community spread of COVID-19. We remain committed to a transparent and open government during this difficult time. In consideration of healthy social distancing practices, participation in this meeting is encouraged in any of the following ways. So we have number one, you can email your questions to me, Village Manager Keener, in advance of the meeting at rkeenerjr@invillapark.com. I will read the comments into the public record at the appropriate time. Please make sure to include "read into public record" in the subject line of your message. Number two, you can watch the meeting live on YouTube by following the Village of Villa Park or on the government access channels, Comcast Channel 6 and AT&T Channel 99. Three, if members of the public are interested in attending in person and are symptom-free, social distancing will be utilized to mitigate the community spread of the disease. However, per the governor's order, all gatherings of more than 10 people are prohibited, and attendance will be monitored at the door. Those attending in person will be required to wear a proper face covering. So moving on for Monday, December 21st, number four on the agenda is amendments to the agenda. And folks, that's the appropriate time for the President or Board of Trustees to modify, revise the formal agenda for that evening. Number five, we have swearing in of Michael Rivas to the position of Police Chief of the Village of Villa Park. So that'll be kind of a fun event for the evening. I believe Chief Rivas will have his family present while Clerk Kornecki swears him in. Should be very exciting for the village. Number six for Monday night is the consent agenda. We have 6A, minutes from the public hearing held on December 7th, 2020. We have 6B, minutes from the board meeting held on December 7th, 2020. And we have 6C, bill listing for the dates of December 7th and December 14th, 2020, in a total amount of $224,757.16. So moving on, we have number 7 on our agenda, which is first reading on ordinances to be codified. So we have 7A for Monday night. We have first reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Chapter 8 and 9 of the Villa Park Municipal Code pertaining to fire prevention and protection. So folks, the background on this particular item is that the village adopted updated building and fire codes created by the International Code Council in May 2020 in order to stay up to date with new technologies and construction methods that are typically safer and more energy efficient. The changes proposed to Chapter 9 in this ordinance were unintentionally excluded during the code update in May, but are necessary to be consistent with the adopted fire code amendments. Additionally, minor changes are recommended to Chapter 8 regarding roof and ceiling construction to be in alignment with the International Residential Code. So folks, just as I kind of mentioned, when we updated our code in May of 2020, several items in Chapter 9 were mistakenly not provided and included in the updates which pertain to the fire code and fire alarms, etc. And in Chapter 8, staff would like to make a change to the municipal code where it requires only plywood to be on walls and ceilings, and the change would be to allow OSB as well, and that is allowed by many communities around us, and it's allowed in the International Residential Code as well. So moving on to number 8 for Monday evening, it's second reading on ordinances to be codified. So we have 8A, we have a second and final reading of an ordinance adopting a budget for the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, for all corporate purposes in lieu of an annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year commencing on January 1st, 21 and ending on December 31st, 2021. So folks, the background on this particular item is that the village's fiscal year 2021 budget ordinance allocates the continued provision of village services, as well as significant capital investment, as discussed during the village's budget presentation held at the November 23rd board meeting and the public hearing held on December 7th, and the first reading of the adoption ordinance held on December 7th. The budget draft has been available for public inspection at Village Hall and on the village's website. The budget covers a 12-month period from January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. So folks, this is the second and final reading of the ordinance adopting the budget for next year's fiscal year, which is obviously January 1 through December 31st, 2021. It is a balanced budget by just a little over $100,000. And of course, we're still in the COVID pandemic, so it's a very conservative budget, and we'll be watching the state financial condition and things of that nature as well. So moving on to 8B for Monday night, we have second and final reading of an ordinance levying taxes for the fiscal year of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, commencing on the first day of January 2020 and ending on the 31st day of December 2020. So folks, the background on this particular item is that the 2020 tax levy process is well underway. The Library Board approved their levy on September 23rd. The Village Board adopted a resolution estimating the tax levy on November 9th, and several abatement ordinances were approved on December 7th. The first reading of the tax levy process was held on December 7th. The total tax levy for the village and library is $12,288,109 and has been abated to $11,141,831, which is an increase of 11%. The Truth in Taxation hearing was held on November 23rd for the public to review and comment on the tax levy. The final amount will likely be reduced by DuPage County due to property tax caps. A majority of the levy is subject to a 2.3% tax cap plus new growth. So folks, we do this on an annual basis. And it's a little confusing because in Illinois we pay our property taxes in arrears. So that's why it mentions 2020, even though we're going into fiscal year 2021. But our tax levy is for 2020. And we're property tax capped in DuPage County. So what we expect is DuPage County will reduce our levy in accordance with the tax caps and or the CPI, which is 2.3% this year, plus new growth. So that is the levy for this year, and that is going to be the second and final reading for that levy as well. So moving on for Monday night, December 21st, we have number 9 is our ordinance section. We have 9A, which is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, establishing temporary executive powers pursuant to Chapter 8, Article 3, Sections 8-301 through 308 of the Villa Park Municipal Code, 65 ILCS 5/11-1-6 of the Illinois Municipal Code, and 20 ILCS 3305-11 of the Illinois Emergency Management Act. So folks, the background on this particular item, it is the policy of the Village of Villa Park that the village be prepared to address any emergency. Therefore, in response to the significant outbreak of the coronavirus, also called Corona-19 in the United States, so pursuant to Chapter 8, Article 3, Sections 8-301 through 308 of the Village of Villa Park Municipal Code, 65 ILCS 5/11-1-6 of the Illinois Municipal Code, and 20 ILCS 3305-11 of the Illinois Emergency Management Agency Act, it is necessary and appropriate to authorize the village president to exercise extraordinary power and authority by executive order during the state of disaster emergency to ensure that the effects of COVID-19 are mitigated and minimized, and that residents and visitors in the village remain safe and secure. This ordinance extends the temporary executive powers contained in Ordinance 4180, approved by the Village Board on December 7, 2020, until such time that the Village Board can reconvene in an open meeting. So folks, we've had this ordinance on many agendas now in the past, and obviously again on Monday, December 21st. This particular ordinance grants extraordinary powers to President Bolthuis concerning staffing and even purchasing. And it allows us to make staffing changes which may become needed due to very ill employees, things of that nature, so that we can continue to supply the services that are needed. And additionally, with purchasing, we may need to purchase extra protective equipment quickly, and that may the cost of that material may be over my purchasing power, and we need to react quickly. So moving on to 9B for Monday night, we have ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, granting a variation to install an electronic message display panel in the Ardmore Avenue Business District, and a variation to allow an electronic message center display panel measuring 62.4% of the allowed sign area. So folks, the background of this particular item is that the petitioner proposes to install a monument sign measuring 8.25 feet wide by 6 feet high, including an electronic message display board. The sign area would comply with the maximum 32 square feet allowed. However, the electronic message display panel is not permitted with the Ardmore Avenue Business District and exceeds the maximum 50% of the allowed sign area. This ordinance grants a variation to allow the placement of the sign in the Ardmore Business District, as well as a second variation permitting the electronic message display to measure 62.4% of the allowed sign area. At the public hearing held on November 12, 2020, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this variation request. So folks, this particular item has to do with the monument sign for St. A's Catholic Church on Ardmore, which is the parking lot for St. A's is right next to the library. So this electronic message board will be to the west of the church in that parking lot, almost adjacent to South Ardmore. So you'd not only have the library's message board, and then maybe 40 feet away to the south would be this message board for St. A's Catholic Church. And this is two variation requests, because one, the message board is not allowed in that particular district, and two, the panel for the message board is greater than what's allowed on a regular electronic sign. So two different variations for that particular monument sign in that location on South Ardmore. So moving on for Monday night, December 21st, we have resolutions. So we have 10A, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the capital improvement plan for the calendar years 2021 through 2025. So folks, the background on this particular item is that the village's fiscal year 2021 through 2025 capital improvement plan is a multi-year planning instrument used to identify needed capital improvements and to coordinate the financing and timing of these capital improvements in such a way that maximizes the return to the public. Originally presented to the board at the November 23, 2020 board meeting, the draft CIP has been available for public inspection and review at Village Hall and on the village's website. The proposed CIP encompasses all single and multi-year capital projects with costs of $25,000 or more, with a life expectancy of at least 20 years, and includes all projects in this year's budget and planned projects for the next 5 years. Revenues to fund this program will come from the referendum-approved bond proceeds, a dedicated half-cent non-home rule sales tax, water and wastewater funds, grants, loans, drainage fees, TIF revenue, and corporate fund transfers. So folks, we do this on an annual basis. We identify capital projects which we want or are needed to be done in the particular fiscal year that we're talking about, which is 2021, but also 4 to 5 years beyond that. We're always planning, designing, looking for the funding. And so when we get to that point, these projects are already designed, the funding's lined up, and we can go out to bid, etc. And then do the projects either in the spring, summer, or late fall. But we have a tremendous amount of projects for 2021. So if you're interested, the CIP is on our website. So you can click on our website, go to the CIP, and review some of the projects that are planned for 21 and beyond as well. So moving on for Monday night, we have 10B, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving final change order number 1 to the contract with BME Electric, Inc. of Bridgeview, Illinois, for construction of the South Cornell Pumping Station Emergency Generator Project for a net deduction in the amount of $15,285. So folks, the background on this particular item is that the village has a contract with BME Electric, Inc. of Bridgeview, Illinois, for the South Cornell Emergency Generator Project. Proposed change order number 1 consists of the reduction of erosion control work, which is going to be performed by in-house personnel, required changes to the wiring of the automatic transfer switch, and the balancing of the contract quantities. Proposed change order number 1 is a net deduction in the amount of $15,285 for an adjusted contract amount of $142,687.50. This project is budgeted in Water Supply Fund account number 8250202401. So folks, we do this when we finish the projects. We balance the final contract quantities as measured in the field and anything else we want to deduct, and then we bring the contract back to the elected officials, the board if you will, and we propose the deduction or the increases so that at the end of the day we have an accurate contract of what that project cost us when it's completed. And so folks, this is the final change order number 1 excuse me, for a deduction of $15,285. And so what we'll do is we'll take those funds, put it back in the account, and we'll use them for another project in 2021. So folks, moving on from Monday night, 10C, we have a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the First Amendment to the contract for purchase and sale of the village-owned surplus property located at 257 to 277 East North Avenue with CA Property Acquisitions, LLC. So folks, the background on this particular item is on June 22nd, 2020, the board approved a purchase agreement with CA Property Acquisitions, LLC for purchase of the village-owned property located at 257 to 277 East North Avenue. At this location, CA Property Acquisitions intends to construct a shoot point blank facility. CA Property Acquisitions encountered a long approval process due to ingress-egress issues through the Illinois Department of Transportation for the site. They are requesting an extension of the due diligence period to January 20th, 2021. This extension would move the anticipated property closing to February 19th, 2021. Construction is expected to commence on March 15th, 2021. So folks, as I mentioned, the board approved a purchase contract in June with CA Property Acquisitions, and now they're moving forward with their construction plans and negotiating with the Illinois Department of Transportation for ingress and egress onto North Avenue. And if you're familiar with IDOT, sometimes it takes a while to go through all the channels and get the necessary paperwork approved. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic is not helping with those improvements and moving through the process. So the purchasing company is asking for a 30-day extension on the due diligence, which would take us to January 20th, 2021, and then the closing would be February 19th, 2021. So the village has tried to sell this property for a number of years, and this would be a great addition to the village of Villa Park. Not only selling the property, but then having development upon it and returning the property back to the tax rolls. So we're hopeful that the property will close, construction will start in March, and hopefully the business will be open sometime in the fall. So folks, moving on to number 11 for Monday night, December 21st, we have public comments on non-agenda items. And so folks, that's the appropriate time. If you're here, you can come to the podium, be recognized by the village president, and comment on non-agenda items. Or you can email me, and I'll read your comments into the record at that appropriate time. So the village appreciates the public's patience and cooperation as we attempt to reduce the community spread of COVID-19. We remain committed to a transparent and open government during this difficult time. In consideration of healthy social distancing practices, participation in the meeting is encouraged in any number of ways. So number one, you can email me, and I will read your email into public record at the appropriate time. But please make sure that in the subject line of your email, put read into public record. So when I scroll through all my emails, I see that subject and I know that I need to read that into public record for that night. Number two, you can watch the meeting live on YouTube by following the Village of Villa Park or our government access channels, Comcast Channel 6 or AT&T 99. Or 3, if you want to come to the Village Hall, the doors will be open. But we will be following social distancing guidelines, so we can have no more than 10 individuals in the chambers. You'll have to wear proper face coverings, and we'll proceed that way. But certainly you can come and be heard. You'll just have to have proper face covering, etc. So moving on to 12 for Monday night, December 21st, we have the village clerk's report. Number 13, we have the village trustees report. Number 14 is the village president's report. Number 15 is my report, the village manager's report. Number 16 is adjournment. And folks, our next meeting is scheduled for January 11th, 2021. So again, my name is Rich Keener. It's my honor to be the village manager for the Village of Villa Park. So hope we see you Monday night, or tune in. There's some great topics that'll be covered. They're very interesting, including the budget, the levy. So hope to see you, or maybe I can read your comments into public record. Take care and be safe and be healthy.